Today I have the pleasure of welcoming my first guest to the show. I'm exploring the idea of bringing in different people to share their perspective of being that one person that makes an impact in the world, as well as generating ideas around helping people achieve success whilst walking the creative pathway. So today, my guest is a visionary entrepreneur who founded, scaled and successfully sold an 8-figure revenue business in the home care industry. Now, we sat down and had a casual conversation about her success journey and specifically drilled into the power of manifestation. Now, Helen's journey exemplifies the power of manifestation as she not only achieved significant professional milestones, but also manifested her dream house, her dream car and lifestyle through dedicated effort and belief in her goals. There is something for everyone on this episode. It's powerful, it's punchy, and entertaining. So let's get into it. If there was a guarantee that you could create your dream life, a life that truly mattered to you, would you want it? My name is Terriane Palmer-Peacock, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the One Person Podcast. I have a belief that one person can make a difference in the world. That person is you. It's me. When we show up as the best version of ourselves, when we create and live our dream lives, we make a positive impact on ourselves and those around us. So if simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies, tools and tips on how to do that inspires you, then you are in the right place, my friend. So let's get started. How would you like to learn a simple way to manifest more of what you want in your life and less of what you don't want? To do that, let's quickly decipher exactly what manifestation is. Now, one dictionary explains it as the practice of thinking aspirational thoughts with the purpose of making them real. Now, manifestation became a bit of a buzzword and was brought into mainstream with the release of the popular personal development movie, The Secret, back in 2006. Now, I've got to say, I watched The Secret when it came out, and I put all the strategies from that movie into practice in the context of my relationships. And I went from being single with the belief I was destined now to just be a career woman, no marriage, no kids, to being married and pregnant all in the space of 18 months. Now, part of the creative journey I teach includes accessing your higher powers, your cosmic intelligence, source, God, whatever name you want to call it. And where most people get caught up, though, is in the first few steps, because they don't realize manifestation is centered around your thoughts, and your thoughts can attract both positive or negative manifestations dependent on what those thoughts are. Now, if we back that up even further, the problem stems from, well, people just don't think anymore. Bob Proctor, rest his soul, used to say 2% of people think, 3% of people think they think, and 95% of people would rather die than think. You see, a lot of people today live their lives as reruns of their previous experiences. They keep running unconscious thought patterns over and over again because that's what they believe will keep them safe. They might not like their results, but to the unconscious mind, it knows it can survive the current results. It knows how it is, so it keeps repeating them. To move into a creative pathway where we are flowing with the energy of the universe, we need to think. We need to visualize what we want. Thoughts become things. And if you see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. I'm very lucky in that I have a dear friend whom we regularly catch up for coffee and chat about all things intuitive. And it was in our last catch up that I was inspired to ask her to chat on the podcast about what she does to manifest the success that she has obtained in her life. Now, this is the core of our chat, which begins with her explanation of manifesting monetary wealth into her life as the wife and mother of 4 children with no business or income generating vehicle. You were looking for money and a lifestyle, but it was your husband who was doing it. Because often when people are going for things, they think that, well, they have to be the ones that bring in the money, or they have to be the ones that make it happen, or have to put in the work, or you just knew the lifestyle that you wanted. Yeah. And the action step for you was then talking to your husband to tell him the change. So that's an interesting dynamic that you have in your relationship then. So how often do you tell your husband what you want him to do and he just drops it and does it?
I'd probably tell you as a friend he never does that. But in reality, you're right, he does. And because I think we collaborate, we work together. But I come from a place, so I've got quite a stereotypical viewpoint of from a young age, I was going to be a mother and I was going to be a wife. That manifestation, as I know it to be now, was just going to happen. That was going to be a given. So to me, I was always going to be that person at home, that person supporting my husband, having children, being a mother, being a wife.
But you're not a 60s, like when you say that, that's kind of like the 60s.
It is this 60s,
70s wife thing, but that's not you at all.
I think maybe at that phase in my life, I actually wasn't focused on business and success or anything like that. I was focused on, we had a really young family, we had 4 young children. I was focused on 4 young children and a husband. I didn't see, like, to me, the only way we were going to bring money in was through my husband. Like, okay. I was never going to be the breadwinner.
So what changed with that?
I think fast forward a few years and having the realization through some experiences that actually I could make money if I wanted to. And I had that freedom and choice to be that person to bring in the income. So, but at the phase where really the manifestation was the expectation on my husband to go out and get it, that was just how it was. That was just, well, he's the person who has the time and the ability. I don't, so therefore I'm going to push him and get him taking the action that I need to get to the goal I want to get to. Yep. But it was very subconscious. It wasn't like, oh, this is what I need to do to get there. Looking back on it now, it's like, wow, actually it was a really subtle subconscious behavior that was probably going on. What's been coming through to me today is the picturing. Like, that is how I manifest.
Yep.
So I just picture the outcome. I picture the goal that I want to achieve. That's all I do. Yep. And that is where, so it starts with what I don't want. The focus is then on what's the reality I do want. And then I turn that reality of what I do want into a picture, and I just focus on that picture, and I become quite, like, I get like a
Are you obsessive on that picture when you decide you want something?
I am obsessive, but I do now, so before I went to Abraham, it was like, oh God, I've got to keep picturing it. I've got to have my vision board. I've got to have my this. I've got to have my that. Then when one of the learnings I got from
Okay, so hang on, let me pause you. So you used to do the vision board. So tell me what you used to do, because this will be where a lot of people, there's a lot of people's journeys in that, who they've come through and they've done their vision boards and they've done their mantras and they've done all their affirmations. And, you know, I've done them all myself as well. I've got a winner's Bible there with all my pictures and that. And, you know, and I think there is merit in it, but I can't be bothered with any of that anymore. So you did all of that stuff too?
All of that. I did the vision boards, wrote down exactly what my goals were, what I wanted to achieve. And looking back, I've achieved all those things. It works. It really does work doing that. But actually, I suppose I moved to the next level. And the next level is just to set the intention of what it is you want and just trust and believe that the energy is going to flow in that direction. So you don't need to keep focusing and I don't believe you need to keep looking at that vision board or looking at that thing that you've written down. You just have that belief system that it's going to come good and it's going to work itself out. And you just leave it to simmer, I suppose. Just leave it to happen and come.
Put it in the crock pot and let it go.
Exactly. Just wait for it all to come out. But I think the thing as well is that if you start and you have that manifest, you know, the belief of, you know, the picture of what it is you want to achieve, and it doesn't come to that, then like life throws a curveball or some other thing kind of becomes as a barrier in the way, then it's just, oh, okay, well, that's not meant to be. So what else has the universe got to give me? What's the direction I need to be going in? What do I need to do to get, because this is still the direction I want to go. This is still the outcome. But I see it as just being, that road's just blocked. So I'm going to start walking down another road until I get to where I want to get to. So I just let it go. I don't get hung up on the fact there's a roadblock in this road. Okay, well, that just means that this road isn't the road to get me to my goal and outcome. So what road do I walk down now?
Which comes back to you don't fail.
No.
So in other words, just because there's the block, it doesn't mean failure to you.
No.
You just turn around and come back and find another way. That's what I'm hearing from you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, you said something interesting that I also want to explore. So when you say what's coming through to me today, tell me more about that. What does that mean? So think about it. So people who, so there'll be a mixture of people who would say, what on earth are you talking about? And there'll be a mixture of people who know exactly what you're talking about, but wish they had it more often. So how does that happen for you? And what do you mean by it? And then how does it happen for you?
So what I mean by it is I set goals. Like we all set goals. We all know what we want to achieve. And I'm not a great person for sitting there with a planner and my to-do list and a diary and all the things that I have to, all of the steps I have to take to get to the goal.
I've tried to get her on my planner and she's not my target market. Yep.
So I just genuinely trust and believe that today I am moving towards the outcome that I am looking to manifest. So I ask the universe, I ask for inspiration as to what it is I need to do today to get me to my goal. Now, I'm not quite as specific as that. Maybe in the early days I was more specific in relation to that. But now I feel with time and practice and everything I know I've achieved, I just go, I know today is going to get me closer to that goal. What is it I need to focus on today to get me closer to that goal? I think we overcomplicate it and think it's harder than it is, and it's really not hard.
But then what happens? So you ask that question, and I'll have some people who will be sitting there going, and they can hear the crickets, they can hear the birds, they can hear the next door neighbour mowing their lawns, they can hear all those things, and they get absolutely nothing. So what happens for you?
So sometimes I'll get words or like more recently sentences, but that's really new to me. Like that is not the norm for me. That is like, oh my God, I got a sentence of inspiration. Like I might get a picture of something or a feeling of something or a word. Like that's a good day for me. Like that is a bit out there. But I get days where like you say, like crickets, it's like, okay. So if I get a day like that, if I'm feeling inspired today to do some work, and I might go sit at my computer and I'll go, right, okay, what do I need to do today? And like sometimes I might get a word and sometimes I might get crickets. And if I get crickets, I'm like, okay, well, let's just switch the computer on and let's go and check an email. And so by taking action, because I know I have this feeling I want to be sitting at my computer today, but there's still no inspiration as to what I need to be doing. I know that something will pop up in my face or something will guide me and draw me to what it is I need to start working on. So if I don't get a strong feeling or a strong message or anything like that, which I know a lot of people struggle with, I just know that I'll suddenly feel like, this is, I'm feeling more creative. So I might go on Canva and start doing something, or I'll just suddenly feel like, no, I'm feeling really into doing a process and doing something today. So I'm just going to start doing that. So I just wait and see what I feel inspired to do. But also, if I wake up in the morning and think, oh my goodness, I've got all of this list of jobs that's got to get done today. For me to get to my goal, I've got to do this list of jobs. And all I want to do is go walk on the beach. Then I'm going to go walk on the beach. And I know a lot of people will feel uncomfortable with that idea that, oh, I can't do that. I can't, I've got to do this list of jobs because they need to be done. If some days I get such a strong urge to do something completely different, and you've got to go with that strong urge. And it could be an absolute feeling of like, I really don't want to do that job. Because every time that has happened to me, and I've had things like big things of like expectation from other people, this has to be done by close of business today or whatever, and I don't want to do it, there's always a wraparound. There's always an excuse. You can always put a little white lie excuse in as to why it didn't happen or whatever. But I just go with what do I want to do? And I start with, what do I want to do to get towards this goal? What do I need to achieve to get towards this goal today in this moment? And you'll get directed. And if you start doing something...
I'm going to pause you there because I think this is a really key point for people to pick up on, is it's not what do I want, it's what do I want in order to achieve this goal.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important distinction, because I'm kind of listening to this and I've got people, as you're talking, I'm going, I can think of clients of mine that I've worked with who they've gone, I don't want to do that today.
Yeah.
And that's different to, I don't want to do that when I'm focusing on my goal. And I think that's a really key distinction. You're actually always focusing on the goals in that. And but am I right in saying, though, sometimes your goal is, how am I going to feel good today?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if I have a big goal, because there's deadlines for things, there's things that just have to get done. If I don't feel like doing that thing today, but it is an important and urgent task, I know that tomorrow or the next day I will get that task. I will be in the mood to do that task, and I'll be inspired to do that task, and I will still get it done. Or it will disappear off my to-do list and somebody else will do it, or no longer be important. So I just know that each and every day I just want to be the happiest version of myself. And I know that I'm going to work towards the goals that I'm working towards, and I go with the flow. Like it's like paddle. Like you're into your paddling, and I know you've talked a lot about it. Like, why are you paddling like upstream? Like where it's hard work, it's exhausting, and you're going to take a long time to get there. Why not just change your direction and go where it's an easy paddle? You're going to get there because you've got the tide in your favor. It's going to be more fun and more enjoyable. And that's how I live my life. I live my life just paddling in the direction that's easiest. I don't want to make my life hard. I want my life to be as easy as possible.
Yep. And actually, we were talking to another coach yesterday, and he was talking about, he actually made a really good point on when you are doing things that are difficult and challenging and hard and against the flow, against the tide, so to speak, it's interesting that when you actually finally get to that end result, you don't have as much joy as if you made it easy and went, okay, how can I do things that are easier? And that when you get to that end result, you love that end result because it's been such a blessed journey along the way.
Yeah.
And that was actually, I actually wrote notes about that, and I went, that's actually a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up so that I could pop that into the podcast.
But isn't it also, because if you are following that easiest path, then you are, like, let's talk about paddling. I'm not a paddler, but the idea of you going downstream and it being easy, and you're not having to paddle so hard, so you can enjoy and appreciate the stuff around you. Like if you're paddling at full belt, going in the wrong, upstream and in against the tide, like you're not going to have time to look around and enjoy it. So that to me is where the gratitude comes in. And I know you've talked about gratitude in your podcast. Is that's where you kind of go, God, this is good. God, this is nice. God, I can appreciate the wildlife or the sunshine or whatever it is that's around. So why not take the easy path?
Because I don't build my strength and my speed to be able to win my national competitions that way, Helen.
Yeah, that's
why. I'm laughing as you're saying that, because my training programs typically are halfway against the tide, against the wind, and then I turn around and come home, and I do that on purpose, though, so that I can build strength.
Let's be clear, one of my goals is not to stand on a podium with a goal.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
So we have very different goals in life, and I will always take the path of least resistance, and I love walking, but I'm not going to start trekking up a massive, great big mountain. I want the enjoyable. I want the views. I want the waterfalls. I don't want the laboursome hard.
Whereas I get joy out of challenges that test me physically to my limits.
No thanks.
That gives me massive... I think I'm addicted to the adrenaline, let's face it. I'm addicted to the adrenaline that you get when you push your body to that absolute limit.
I will leave you with that one.
So there you have it. There's no such thing as failure, and if you encounter roadblocks along the way to your goals, then let them go. Set the intention of what you want and trust and believe the energy will flow towards your desires. It's great advice. Now, if you have a home care business or are in the home care industry, I'll leave Helen's contact details in the show notes. Now, I have a new feature on the podcast where you can click the link in the show notes and send me a text message. I'd love to hear from you. And if you would like me to cover anything specifically in future episodes, then just let me know. Just click the link and follow the prompts. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening in, and if there is anyone else you think would enjoy listening to one of these episodes, please share them. Reviews also help us reach more people. So until next week, be creative, stay inspired, and remember, it only takes one person to make a positive impact in the world.